All right, welcome into another episode of For Your Health, a podcast sponsored by Roane General Hospital. We've had so much fun over the last couple of months talking about numerous topics. We wanted to talk about getting out into the community, and we started doing some of those podcasts. My guest here today, someone we had on the podcast to talk about some forms of participation out in the community. Pickleball was all the rage when we talked to our guest today, Marie Hedges. Marie, thank you again for joining us. Marie, you are the Adolescent Health Initiative Project Coordinator. It's a lot of names. Do you have to tell people that that's what you are?
Usually around here, I just say I work for Patch. And with that, comes working with youth and prevention. And then as we have talked about here, working in the community on these wellness initiatives.
And joining me every time that Patch has to talk.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Yes.
I know why, because you're a good face, you're well talked, and they just think that they can take advantage of you being here for everything. That's fine. We're happy to have you again. We're happy to talk with you again.
Good to talk with you.
So we talked about pickleball the last time you were with us, and that's one awesome thing that Patch has really gotten involved in, and that has been a meteoric rise, not just around here, obviously, but throughout the nation, throughout the world even. It's been a meteoric rise for that. Probably even better than cornhole was when it started getting crazy. We're going to go back to a simpler form of exercise, the old-fashioned running and walking. So we're going to talk about this race series that you guys have been involved in for many years now, and we'll talk about it in the many iterations. But before we do that, for people who don't know you and people who didn't get to see the last podcast maybe, we're going to go back a little bit for your history and why you're so interested in getting people active and getting people to exercise in whatever form it may be. Obviously, you're very interested in keeping the kids and getting them active early, but you're trying to help the general population all the way up through the ages. There's a reason for that, obviously. You have an interest in doing stuff like this. And we talked the last time you were here. Obviously, athletics was very important to you growing up. You played multiple sports. You did not excel in softball, you tell me.
Did not.
But you excelled in basketball. You were a tremendous basketball player in high school. You went to college and played basketball. That is a tough thing to do and manage your academics at the same time. So obviously, you were very involved and interested in athletics. And in basketball, there's a lot of running. But where did your love for running start? Or do you love it? Let me ask you this first. Do you love running, or is it something that you just managed to do?
Yeah. I definitely say that I do love running. But it wasn't something that I did. I didn't do track and cross country. I didn't just go out and run growing up. I'm sure some of my basketball coaches wish, that I would have, especially doing sprints and everything more on my own. But it wasn't something I typically did on my own. I really started running once I was in grad school. So I did a little bit after my basketball career was over. I'd run here and there, a couple miles. But once I was in grad school and just having that workload and that extra stress, it was kind of like I need something healthy. I need some sort of an outlet. So that's when I started running. And I actually started with the Couch to 5K program, which is a walk-run program. It's very basic. And I would around my apartment complex, I would walk for so many seconds, run for so many seconds, walk for so many seconds, and so on. And for however many weeks it was. And then before I knew it, I was running a 5K, and then I ran a half marathon. And that was when I really realized how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So much so that you, in fact, I don't know when this podcast will come out, but just recently from where we're talking now, you've completed one down in Fayetteville. And you finished in the top 35 or something like that, or close, top 40?
In Marlinton, I did the run paddle bike. And I finished this year. I didn't finish as well as last year, but I finished 13th overall in the women's division.
13th? Okay, I was way off. Way off. Sorry about that.
Let me tell you, those kayakers, they take it seriously with those racing kayaks. It's quite impressive what they have.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely lagging in the area of kayaking.
But obviously, now this has become sort of a passion for you personally. And within your job now, it's something that obviously you can generate to the masses. It's something you and the rest of the Patch crew can really sink your teeth into. When this race series started, and we're talking about the Patch Race Series, we're going to talk about the new name for it. when this started in 2021-ish.
I do believe that, yeah, it was started in 2021 with Justin Bossert and then Jack Garrett Ford also. They play a great role in this as well, Quentin Keaton. They started this, and the idea was to get people out and running or walking up to a 5K. So it was actually a program where each month it built, so the distances increased. So it started out with a 2K in January, and then a 3K in February, and then a race in March for a 3K, and so on. And then they ended with the Easter egg scramble 5K.
Now, is this pre-you? Were you with them at that time?
So I was not involved with the races when they initially started. And then Justin, once he really, they started growing and he needed assistance, was when I was brought on.
Okay, and now you're
and now I'm
in charge and stuff like that.
Yes, and now I am in charge of them.
So it started back in 2021, and it was a racing series. Or I guess it was designed to help people improve their physical wellness, obviously.
Yes.
And since then, you guys have just really gone wild with the styles of races that you've done. Here's the deal: running is repetitive.
Yes.
Running can become boring. If you're running on a treadmill, it's absolutely boring. You feel like one of those lab rats. But even running outside can become kind of repetitive. So what you guys did, and I love the way you guys did this, you started designing individual races based on the time of the year and making them kind of fun and putting them in different places. They weren't the same area all the time, different courses, keeping people on their toes. And I think about the one you get at the golf course, the
skeleton scoot.
Skeleton scoot. There's so many of them, though. There's so many is that something that you guys were looking at the way people were involved in it and saying, let's do this, let's expand this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have constantly, since it started, been looking for ways to adapt it, to bring in more people, to bring in new people. So at the beginning of this year, we sat down and it was like, okay, we looked at numbers of races last year. So we see what the most popular are at this time. As you mentioned earlier, pickleball has really grown. And our numbers are really low in those winter cold months. So that's when we said, okay, let's back up. Let's put our energy into pickleball in the winter months when we have an indoor location. We have a solid, 35, 40 people that are interested in pickleball. And let's just keep helping that grow. Because our race numbers are so low at those months. So that's just an example of one way we've adapted. And just looking for, like you said, different ways to tie in other events that are taking place. For instance, we did our March race wasn't really tied in with anything. So this March we did a troll stroll, which Folklore had some live music going on. They had a book signing and so on. So we went out there, had the race, and it started and finished at Folklore for something different, to try it out, a new route, and hopefully bring in some new people. And we actually have people that come from Parkersburg area, Marietta, Belpre. That race specifically, we had a good 7 or 8 people from that area.
Well, you provide a really nice finish to it. It's a great place to be, obviously. So let's talk about the name this year. You've changed, and I was trying while you were talking. Sorry, I don't get off topic in my own brain, but the Stride and Stroll, and I was thinking, Stride and Stroll, why that? And I was like, more catchy than a walk-run or a run-walk.
Yeah, so we did change up the name. So, we've always called ourselves the Patch and Jack Garrett Ford Race Series, obviously hitting on the 2 key sponsors. But we wanted a more catchy name. And Patch and Jack Garrett Ford are still, the key sponsors there. And we have a list of other sponsors as well, of course, that I'll hit on. But that was just to kind of draw more attention to it. And emphasizing, you can walk, you can run. We're open to any of that.
So let's talk about the organizing of this and the organizers. Obviously, this takes effort beyond what people would probably think about. I was talking with you about just setting up, number one, for a race itself. Mm-hmm. The equipment that's necessary at the start-finish line is vast. There's tons of tables. There's electronics. There's laptops. There's the big start-finish thing that you have to make sure it's pegged down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of effort that goes into the pre-planning, getting it ready, getting the race, getting the race itself. Finding the. Now I know that you and Justin have actually just run a lot of different routes to try to figure these things out sometimes. So it takes a lot of effort. Obviously, you have to enjoy it. It's not about the money, obviously. I mean, none of us are getting rich doing any of this stuff.
No.
So let's talk about the organizers of this. You guys at Patch, obviously. Jack Garrett is a huge supporter of that. We talked with Quentin on a podcast before. We talked with him about his crazy Ironman journey and how he just wants to always be active, but it's not enough just to be active. He wants to help everybody else be active. You guys as well. So who are the sponsors that help get this thing involved? And obviously, let's talk about the people. It's time to toot your own horn. You and Justin Bossert, for sure. And there's a lot more that I don't know. So I'd like to give you a chance to talk about some of those people.
So our sponsors, along with Patch and Jack Garrett Ford, of course, are A&M Digital Technologies, City of Spencer, Family Healthcare, Halls Excavating, Handy Mart, and Roane General Hospital.
You guys have really expanded that.
So, so those are our sponsors, and we definitely couldn't do it without them. Of course, we also have the levy that supports these races, but there is, like you've said, there's a lot of supplies, there's a lot of people and time and energy that go into these races, so we definitely could not do it without our sponsors. As far as, as soon as one race is over, so for instance, we had the Jane Hardman Memorial 2-mile walk run. I got all of that, all of those results published, all those photos out and everything. And as soon as that happened within a few days, I'm thinking about the next race. So there is a lot of planning, whether it goes into the route, the marketing, getting the supplies ordered. We do T-shirts and finisher medals, and our overall winners also get a prize. So, planning all of that. So Bree Deal in our office, she does our designs for us. She designs our T-shirts for us, which then I pull some of her design from the shirt, and I put that on the flyer and get that flyer out on social media and around town and in the newspaper. And then it's really about, there's a lot of communication, obviously, that goes on, talking to people about, the location that we're going to use. Sometimes we get permission, we need to get permission, obviously, but sometimes we're partnering with somebody, so having that conversation with them. Then Dash and Splash, that'll be at the city pool, so we'll work with the city to arrange the pool time and everything. So so there is a good amount of work that goes into that. Parker's been helping me with the races lately, and of course Kenny, he is our guy behind the scenes who really I couldn't do it without him. We load the trailer, he takes it to the site wherever that may be and helps me unload, and we set up, and then tear down is, we all have our procedures we do, and we've got it nailed down pretty well.
Yeah, it takes that. We set up a bunch of podcast equipment and shut it down. I know my role, and my producer knows his role. It's the same thing with our live remotes and anything you do. You get that. Okay, this is my job. This is going to go a lot faster if we don't try to get on each other. So that's good, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of people to get this thing done, and it's been successful, obviously. And of course, as you mentioned, some races have fallen off, and you mentioned the winter months. Unfortunately, that wonderful, wonderful ugly sweater 5K is going to go by the wayside. But again, as you mentioned, cold weather, it's tough, and people have an alternative now. They've got the pickleball inside if they want to be active. So what is the impact? What is the positive impact you guys have seen over the last 5 years of running this race series?
I do think that it has brought some people out that have not ever participated in a race. I know that for a fact.
Yes.
We've had quite a few people who have never participated. They get there and you can tell they're really nervous.
And then they see somebody with a dog.
And so I try to, they'll be like, well, I hand them a chip that records their time, their start-stop time. And they're like, well, what is this? And it's like, no big deal, So you're trying to explain it to them, and they get really worried about the route. Well, how do I know where I'm going to go? We've got signs, we've got it marked. I'll go over it, before we get started too. But we've definitely brought in a variety of people that haven't done this type of activity before, and I think that's fantastic. We have some high schoolers who come regularly from Calhoun and Roane counties both. Yeah. And it's fun to see those guys because they get competitive with one another, Yeah. And I've watched them go through, one is in college now, and to just watch them kind of go through high school and college and to see who's going to win, who's in the best shape right now, who's the fastest right now. and they really take it seriously. So
I've really enjoyed when I've covered a few of these races with you guys to see people from out of town, see a lot of people coming in from out of town, out of states, the surrounding areas. The one I really enjoy, obviously, is the Walnut Festival.
yeah.
The Nut Run that's a long standing thing, but that's something that you guys have kind of brought into your breadbasket, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's one that brings people from all over. That's one that brings people from out of states.
Yeah, the Nut Run is pretty neat because it brings a lot of people home.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, and I never have a chance to talk to anybody there. And sometimes I've even gone through the results later. I'll be like, oh, that person was there. Like I saw their name on something at some point that day, but it was just too hectic. I didn't even realize. But yeah, it is neat to see. And Roane General plays a huge role in that. I couldn't do that race without them because we typically have, over 70 people there. And that is our race that I consider like our biggest race. Like people are there, they want their times, they want to finish well. And so it's really important to be on point with the computer aspect of everything and to have everything go smoothly. So
it's nice to have technology, though, with those, as you mentioned, those little clips that people put on, and that downloads to your software.
It goes straight to our computer, So if you come to a race, you'll see me at the computer, and I'm watching to make sure every chip registers. When people come across, occasionally we'll have an issue. Actually, my first nut run on my own without Justin, we actually had some major issues, and thank goodness Kyle was there, and he's familiar with track and all that, so he was able to jump right in and help me out as far as telling me bib numbers as people were crossing so I could enter them by hand. So he was a huge help. So like you said, there are a lot of people who help out with this.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't, when they show up that day, they don't realize how important they're going to be that day.
Yeah, they just came to watch. No, you're helping.
So
you mentioned that's the most important, as you mentioned, in the race series. I got to ask you, from your perspective, what is the funnest race? I have a thought that it would be the Dash and Splash, but I don't know that for sure because it's totally within the realm of Ben's Run Trail. It's up in the middle of the woods, so it's not like your average race that you see on the side of roads, things like that. And you get to end it at the pool and jumping in. Yeah. Is that the funnest race, or are they all fun?
I mean, they're all fun in their own ways. Some of them I'm able to enjoy more than others. Some I'm just like hyper focused on the work aspect of it, and then some I'm able to enjoy. I do enjoy the Nut Run. And I do have more help at that race than any other. So so that's a really fun one. Like you said, though, the Dash and Splash, that's definitely very popular. And it's fun. We have a lot of kids come for that. Of course, they get to swim at the pool. And we have kids come to every race. You know, I mean, I that's something I haven't mentioned yet, but that's a huge part of this, too, is getting our kids out there. And it's not about being competitive necessarily. Some of them do get into it, but just doing that walking, that running, and kind of encouraging it to be a part of your lifestyle.
I like what you guys do with those races as well, is you offer like the real young ones. See, it's like a kid's race real quick, and it's around the courthouse square or whatever it is. And we're talking about, young kids or kids who are just like, I'm not running in a 5K or walking a 5K, but I'll do this. It's just that little thought of, hey, this is a lot of fun to be out here with all these people and doing this. And so you guys do a little kids race before most of these races, if not all of them, if you got kids. And it's just a real short little jaunt, but it's fun for the kids too.
It is. It lets them, get competitive. And the neat thing is too, is, a lot of times the adults that are sitting around, they'll cheer them on. And then a lot of times we have kids who, they have to be with a parent, their parent doesn't want them to do the whole route by themselves, which is completely understandable. So this gives them a chance to run on their own, whereas during the race, they might have to walk with a parent. This gives them a chance to get that run in.
Freedom.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah. It's good stuff though. And I've watched a few of those, and the kids just have a blast with it. They're smiling ear to ear when they cross. So that's a good thing. Just getting people involved. And obviously it's important to get people involved. And I wanted to talk about that with you. It's important to move. We've talked about that's basically the podcast. It's important to be active.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, why is it so important to walk or run? Why is it so important to get that type of exercise?
From my standpoint, and I think what I'm trying to encourage the most when I do this is mental health. It's such, like I said earlier, how I got into it, grad school, I'm sitting in classes every day from 9 to 4:30 at least, if not,
and stressed.
evening stuff. Yeah, and having an outlet, and showing, running and walking doesn't require much.
Yeah.
Pickleball, we talked about that. Well, you need to have a paddle. Can you have a cheap paddle? Yeah, you can have a cheap paddle. That's fine. But this is literally just getting out there in your shoes. They don't have to be fancy shoes. I mean, your health about your feet is important. Don't get me wrong. So if you're going to get serious into running, definitely, get the appropriate shoes for your feet. But, you don't have to have a lot. And you can do it around your house maybe. You can maybe possibly come to a gym. There's different locations that you can do it.
It's the most accessible.
Yes. So,
and probably the cheapest.
Yeah. So mental health is huge, I think, to having that stress release, that outlet. It's proven to help with anxiety, depression, all those types of things. So I think that's, for me personally, that's such a huge part of why I, really believe in this and continue to push this.
Because it's something that you've felt.
Mm-hmm.
You've obviously gone through the stresses of, oh my goodness, grad school. I feel for you as well. I went through it for 7 years. It's rough, and what you can take that, whoever's out there listening, whether it's grad school stresses or whether it's life stresses, job stresses, family stresses, there needs to be an outlet for that.
Yeah.
And so walking or running is a great way to start and continue, even if you get to the point you're doing other stuff.
Yeah.
Don't stop walking and running. It's very, very good for you.
And even 10 minutes, even 10 minutes, getting fresh air can really help you.
Well, you basically just segued my next question, which was, what is your advice for beginners?
Oh, what's
get out
advice
10
for
minutes.
beginners? Yeah, I mean, if you have a lunch break at your job and you're able to go outside for 5-8 minutes, walk a couple laps, like it does. So often we think it has to be big and it has to take time, and it really doesn't. We have a great program here at Roane General, Prescription for Your Health. You can go to the gym. You don't have to come and lift weights for 90 minutes. Like you can literally just come in and hop on an elliptical or a treadmill or do some laps around the trail here, just to get yourself active. And it's a matter of you truly just need to start small and build up from there.
I'm going to veer totally off now since you segued so well for that last one. You mentioned just use the trails out here. Let's talk real quick about the trail system that has been built over the last. I mean, we could take it way back to when Ben's Run Trail began. I remember as a kid how I'll take it way back here. So when I was in middle school, it was still called junior high school. So it was back when puppies were the oldest animal, right? And we went to school at where the COA building is now. It used to be Spencer Junior High School. And we used to take walks for science class out to the dam. And that's where it ended.
Yeah.
There was no trail past the dam back then.
Yeah.
It is a spider web now.
Yeah, there's a whole trail system out there. And I think it's marked very well. Even if you're a beginner, I think you could go out there and stay on the main trail and be pretty confident in not getting lost, just making the loop. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of trails that go off of that as well. They just did a trail up at the winery.
Yeah.
That they just finished. And it's supposed to be a beginner's level. I think it's around 0.3 of a mile. Don't quote me on that. But so a really nice little trail. So yeah, you can get into a whole web of trails off of Ben's Run.
So that's been created with a lot of help from a lot of people around town here. And then, of course, Charles Fork Lake has always had trails, but they've really gone back to really the upkeep of those trails now. They brought back the Tour de Lake, which was so neat to have, a huge bike race here. But people can utilize that bike race trail now to walk. And now what's been done out here at the hospital, we all know about the walking path that they built years ago, the Ambrosia walking path, but there are trails now here.
Yes, there are. So if you go out the parking lot near the Center for Wellness, there's a trailhead right there. So it's really accessible. If you're interested in doing it, you don't have to travel far. We've got it right here in Spencer and the surrounding area.
And as you guys have always done, you're just trying to find more opportunities for people to be active in whatever way necessary. Pickleball, a great opportunity for people of many ages to get active. Maybe you don't like going to the track.
Yeah.
Maybe that's boring to you. Maybe just going in circles is like watching NASCAR to me.
And
I just touched off right there. Somebody's going to get a call in. But maybe a trail system where you're out in nature and you're up and down and you're kind of navigating some rough terrain, and it's kind of more fun for people. So here's an option.
Definitely.
And you don't have to be the greatest shape yet. I mean, just go out there and walk a little bit of them.
Yeah, walk, run, whatever you're comfortable with. And like you said, yeah, you're not going to see me up at the track very often, you know? Sometimes when I'm prepping for a race, I'll go up there on Sundays and do a workout. But other than that, you're not going to see me there much.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to see me on a road like Fork, though, you know, where you've got the scenery, not a lot of traffic, and you know, you kind of got some rolling hills. So
Yeah. Here's a suggestion for rolling hills. Start at Long Beach and make your way back. You'll find all the hills you want there. Anyway, so I had to go off on a tangent there about the trail system because I think that is very important to have here in Roane County. And I think that the more people, the more we try to build this place in Roane County as a tourist destination for many different ways, one of those things is outdoor recreation. And I think the trail system is huge in that. Anyways, I'll refocus, Marie. My ADHD setting in here. So with this racing series, now the Stride and Stroll racing series,
Yes.
And you guys will have a bunch. We'll talk about the races upcoming here in a bit. But with the Stride and Stroll racing series, one thing some people like to do is track their progress.
Yes.
And tracking your own progress can sometimes be a little bit tedious. You guys have created a Strava group. Let's talk about this. What is Strava? Maybe some people have heard of it. Some people, I'm sure a lot of people have not heard of it. And a Strava group is something really nice to have if you're somebody who's trying to track stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So Strava is a free app that you can download. You don't have to have a fancy watch to use it. You can just download it directly on your phone. When I started out, I just used it on my phone. And like I said, it is free. There is a paid version of it, but it is completely free. And we have the Jack Garrett Ford and Patch activity group on there. So once you create your account, you can log your workouts. So whether it's a strength workout in the gym or a walk outside or a run on a trail, you can log those and keep track of those. And there's a variety of privacy settings. Obviously, that's something that gets brought up when we discuss it. You can have it so that it maps your route for you, and you can make that private so that nobody can see your routes for safety. You can have it so that it shows your time that you work out, or it has so you can't see somebody's time that they're, you know, so if you have a regular route you're running at the same time every day, you know, you can make all that private. So that's something we get questioned about a lot, but it's just a great way to track your progress. So if you're wanting to increase your mileage, you can say, okay, I'm going to do, 15 minutes 3 times a week this week. And then next week, I'm going to shoot for 18 minutes twice a week and then one 15-minute week. So you can use it to track your time, your mileage. And then you can also join our group, the Jack Garrett Ford and Patch activity group, and you can see others in our community who are also working towards this healthy lifestyle.
And I think that's kind of neat as we're talking about the benefits of exercise. We've talked with numerous fitness complex employees here, and they talked about one of the things they find with teaching classes is the social aspect of it.
Yes.
And we don't think about that, but that is a huge thing that I've just created in my own mind as I've talked to people. The social interaction that is so necessary for people in this day and age, as I've said before, if you wanted to, honestly, you could go through the rest of your life and not really meet or see any human being.
Yeah.
And that is so not good for people.
Yeah.
You can order your food online. You don't even have to see the person who delivers it to you. There's a knock on your door and there it is. You can order everything from, it's one of those things, but you lose that interaction that people are, it's part of us. You have to have social interaction. And so being able to be a part of a group like that, seeing other people who, whatever they are able to share or want to share, seeing other people do things. And then maybe you make connections with people that way. And maybe you're on your own walk and you get kind of bored and you're like, you know what, I would like to have somebody walk with me. And then you connect. And so this group, you have the ability to connect with people.
Definitely. Not only connect with people, but also try to help hold one another accountable. This morning I worked out and it was on Strava. And at some point, this morning at work, I got a text from a buddy that says, hey, good job working out this morning, because they had just happened to see it. So it is, it's nice to see, to have that accountability too. You know, I hadn't ran for a few weeks, and I got a text from a friend one day who said, "Hey, you know, how are you? Are you feeling okay? Like, you know, you haven't ran." And it's like, "Yeah, thanks for calling me out. I need it."
Yeah, great.
But yeah, so it can be used in a variety of ways, you know, or you can just keep it private, you know, and you can just use it to track your own mileage.
You can get as social as you want with
Yes,
it, you know,
exactly.
Just like any other social
Yes.
media thing. You can be as sharing as you would like to be with it.
Yes.
But it is a way to keep track of things, and it's just there. You're able to keep track of things, and sometimes you just need that, because I forgot when I was supposed to be here today. If I had a Strava group, maybe I would have figured that out. Anyway, so there's a lot of benefits to being a part of this race series. Obviously, number one is physical exercise. And it's tuned to everybody. If you're not a runner, no big deal. Walk it. If you're a beginner, walk a little bit. Figure out, just get started. If you're a runner who's like a serious runner, you've got the clip to know what time it is. So there's good things for that. And the social aspect. Mental health is a huge, huge, huge thing. I cannot overstate how important mental health is. As someone who has gone through many problems over the many years, had I done what I was supposed to do physically, stay active the whole time, I would imagine I probably wouldn't have had quite as many issues as I did growing up. Now, it took, age, the wisdom of age, obviously, to get to where I need to be active, but that's a huge thing. So there's all sorts of great things that come with this. So let's talk about these races. What's coming up? I mean, people may not know this, but we're not doing this live. And we've got about 15 podcasts banked up right now, so we're not exactly sure when this is coming out. But let's just go through them anyway, just as if it were, because people need to know about these different races and what goes on with them, where they happen, all that stuff.
Definitely. So we started off the year in March with the Stroll 4K. So we started out with a shorter distance. We still do like to try to start with that shorter distance as people increase their distance through the year. And then in May, we had the Jane Hardman Memorial 2-mile walk run. And that is to raise funds for a scholarship that goes to a Roane County High School student who is either going into the elementary education or mental health fields. So we had that and also awarded Ava Harper with that scholarship. Now, our next race that I'm working on right now is the Dash and Splash, which is approximately 2 miles. Like you said, it's out Ben's Run. So you do the loop out Ben's Run, and then we finish at the city pool. So anybody who signed up for the race and comes can swim in the pool afterwards. We have a diving competition for the kids, and it's just a great time for everybody. And that race is also going to be part of Corporate Cup as well. So we will easily have 100 people for that race. So we do.
Can they all fit out there?
yeah, we all fit. So actually, last year I ran it because Patch had a team in Corporate Cup, and I did get pushed by somebody. And it was Justin, actually, who was
there a
trying
fight
to get by me.
Oh, my gosh.
So on the trail. But other than that, I think that was the only
he comes by, elbows, I want to win.
Yeah, and he did. Don't worry. So that's just a great time, and especially for the kids. And in any of these races, we have people who's like, hey, if you don't want to finish, if you don't want to do the whole route, that's fine. Turn around and come back. Just tell us so that you're not in our full results. So that's something for people to keep in mind as well. If somebody only wanted to walk out to the dam and back, that's fine. Walk out to the dam, let everybody get past you, and then walk back on that same path.
And then finish first.
Well, we would take you out of the results. But, hey, if that's where you are on your journey, no judgment. So
you got the Dash and Splash coming up. You guys were originally, the goal was to try to do one a month. Is that still the goal, or is it kind of?
So now we've knocked it down. So it's most months it's either a pickleball tournament or a race.
Okay.
So that's more of because some of the races the numbers were getting kind of low. So we realized there was too many races, and also those and then also those winter races just weren't having good turnouts. So we had a March race. I had a early April pickleball tournament or maybe it was late March, but for the pickleball winter league that we had. And then we had a May race, and now June I have a pickleball tournament, and then in July actually we'll have both pickleball and race.
All right.
And then after we get through the summer, early fall, or late summer, early fall, we'll have most likely have a color run. We have some different ideas being thrown around, so I don't exactly know the plans. There are, like I said, we're always trying to adapt, make things better, more fun, and just expose people to new ideas. So that one could be switched up a little bit, but that is actually our biggest race. One year we had 111 participants. And that doesn't count all the people that come to watch and, bring their kids, that kind of thing. So it was a lot of people. We were, Justin and I were pretty overwhelmed on that one, but it worked out wonderful. Everybody had a great time. So the color run, it might be switched up a little bit, still involve color, but there might be some obstacles or something along the way. And then the nut run. Yeah. And the nut run, like you said, that's just like a staple in our community, part of the Black Walnut Festival. And that's typically on Sunday of the festival.
That one's always going to have good numbers.
Yes.
It's always going to have good numbers. If the weather's great, it's going to have better numbers.
Yes.
Depending on how much funnel cake action there was during the week. Some people may drop out of Sunday morning. Some people may not.
Yeah.
Some people may make the decision, like, I didn't eat too much. I'm good to go.
Yeah. So, and we've kind of played around with the time different years just to see, some people prefer an early morning race, but sometimes people are out late on Saturday evening and they'd prefer to have that early afternoon race. So,
no, there's not. That doesn't happen. Not at the festival. So that's what's at the moment this year. That's what's happened, and what is happening depends on when this comes out. So there's multiple opportunities to get involved with this. So the last question I have is, how do people get in touch with you guys to get involved in this? What are the ways that people can reach out? What are the ways that people can get information from you guys?
So we always post the races on our social media. I try to give everybody at least a month notice on the races. I'll do some little like save the date type of deal out on our social media, which means that I'm still working behind the scenes to get all the details ironed out.
Yeah, even when you're not working, you're working.
So, so we usually put flyers around town. Social media is huge, usually something in the newspaper. And then I also have an email list, a listserv that I have people who have signed up for through the years. And so that has about 300 people on it. So I send that out as well. So we just try to get word out and people around town, especially like some of the high schoolers and stuff, they'll be like, hey, when's such and such race going to be, which I always love when they ask because that means, they're looking forward to it. Yeah. And you can also just call the office and ask, and I'll gladly answer any questions to help you get started with us.
So the social media account for you guys, that Patch 21?
Correct, yes.
So Patch 21 is where you can find them on social media. The phone number, 1997?
8047.
Gosh, I was so close.
You were.
There once was a number called 1997. So 8047. 8047. I can put you on this.
978047.
See, gone are the days of me remembering phone numbers because I have a cell phone now.
Right? You don't have to remember.
Oh, could never. So there's multiple ways you guys can get involved and get active with this stuff. Look out for the announcements on the Patch 21 Facebook account. The City of Spencer is great to share it.
Yes, City of
We
Spencer
at
is
WVRC
fantastic.
share it. Roane General Hospital shares it. The people who are involved in it, Jack Garrett, they all share this. So if you are even on social media, it's going to be hard-pressed that you're not seeing the flyers come out in advance, which is good. Gives people a chance to get ready for it. You can call and ask at Patch to find that out. And just be aware of what's going on throughout because they're always doing something really cool. Marie, you work hard. You work incredibly hard. I wish some of the others there worked at all. I'm glad you show up. I'm glad you're the one that we get to talk to because I'm very comfortable talking with you, and I know you are a plethora of knowledge.
Well, thank you,
Well, thank you for joining us. We wish you the best of luck on the next race that you're going to do. What's the next race for you?
Dash and Splash. Or you mean me
for
personally?
you personally?
That is up in the air, actually. Last summer I did a run bike run that was pretty cool in Ohio, so maybe something like that. I don't know. I'm not in the same shape. I'm getting back in shape right now. I'm still coming off that injury.
Are we going to see Marie Hedges in an Ironman at some point?
I don't know about that. We're not going that far.
Oh, maybe. We'll see.
But biking is pretty fun.
We'll get Quentin on you. We'll get Quentin on you. Marie Hedges, thank you so much for the information. Folks, get involved with the Patch Racing Series. It is now called the Stride and Stroll. Wonderful episode. We invite you to join us next Friday for another great episode here on For Your Health.